Hi, this is Asa, and welcome to my audio experience. $7272. That's 888-283-7272. Or you can always send me an email. We are your prescription for change. Let's kick it off and go with Rose. Hi, Rose.
I'm calling about my father. He's 75 years old, and he's having a lot of vascular problems.
Okay.
He's had 6 amputations, and every time he gets an amputation, his skin starts dying around the amputation, and I'll have to go and scrape it.
All right, well, now, obviously, does he have diabetes?
He has vascular disease, diabetes, and he's had heart failure.
What all has he changed? Has he made any major changes in his life? Talk to me a little bit about his lifestyle, what he does now. I mean, if he's losing, the different, what has he lost limb-wise? Or talk to me a little bit about that.
Okay.
Where is he at? Give me his status so I can get a good picture.
Okay. It started off with a toe, and it took his toe off, and
Which
then they had
toe?
to take
Which toe?
It was a middle toe, I believe, a middle toe, and then it spread, and then they had to take off 3 toes, and then they took off his ankle, and then they took up to his kneecap, and then it started on the other foot, and so far he's up to both above his knees right now.
Okay.
And I was wondering if there was anything I could do to help his skin grow back healthy.
Well, as far as his skin growing back healthy, there's not a lot you can do as far as this regard, because the challenge is that he's in a place where the diabetes is playing a pretty big role. He's got the devascularization due to the vascular disease, and he's had heart failure. So he's got a lot of chips against him. The one thing he can start doing more than anything is to change the way that he eats, watching the nutrition that he puts in his body. Supplements can be helpful. But, I mean, again, this is not going to create drastic change, but at least it can be some things that he can start working on. Because it's better to start at least working on some things that you know can help. But just know that things have already gotten to a pretty tough place. But I know what you're saying is you don't want it getting worse, right? That's kind of what you're shooting for, is that you don't want it to get any worse. And so for the skin to become healthy and for the skin to get better, you just have to start doing things like omega-3 fatty acids. You have to start working on those. Anything that supports skin health is going to be helpful. Silica is really great, and you can get all that sort of thing in a health food store. But as far as the nutrition goes, plenty of lean quality proteins, very important. I'd cut out any type of inflammatory type food that would hinder any type of digestion process, because as you do that, you're going to increase the body's ability to make good new healthy cells. And at the end of the day, that's going to be the key for him. Because even though he's in a tough spot, at least he can be proactive about his health. But obviously, if he has diabetes and he's struggling with getting over heart failure, those sorts of things, I mean, that is a challenge within itself. It is. But I would encourage you, as you're working with his physicians, to make sure that you come up with a good nutritional game plan. And that includes eating plenty of foods, lean quality proteins, low glycemic carbohydrates, cutting out the grains and the starches and whatnot. And some people would say, well, my gosh, he's already had portions of his limbs amputated. Let the guy eat whatever he wants to. And there are some people that have that attitude. I don't. Simply because I believe that our health is a gift, and whatever we do with our health is our gift of giving back at whatever stage in life we're in, or whatever stage of a health challenge that we're in. You should never give up, and you should always come up with a game plan. Now, depending on what his doctors say, vitamin C has really good reputation for helping with skin, hair, and nails as well. If he's got to do supplements, make sure it's at least a natural-based supplement of some kind. And if you go to a good health food store, they can walk you through all that sort of thing. But silica or silicone, they make supplements like that. And for years, that's been known to produce healthy skin, healthy hair, healthy nails, that sort of thing. And as he's getting blood work done in the middle of all this, as far as being his cheerleader in the middle of it all, the biggest thing I would focus on if I were you, if this was me, is doing whatever exercise he can. You're thinking, well, he's lost both legs. Well, it doesn't matter, because they make actual bikes that you can use with the arms, the upper body. They use it a lot of times to strengthen rotator cuff. They use it a lot of times in physical therapy. You can go to a physical therapy based on a referral from his physician, and he can start doing some upper body exercise that will increase vascular flow if he can handle that. I don't know at what level he's at, if they would okay that or not. So those are the sort of things that you want to look into. And, it's all about what can you do, not what can't he do. Because at the end of the day, he needs to focus on every minute he has to be focused on increasing his health. Enjoying his life, but increasing his health, because he still can. And, the challenge is, a lot of people say, well, I don't know. I mean, it sounds like it's over. I've already had half of both legs amputated. And that's nothing to shrug off. But at the same time, the foods that he eats, the water, getting plenty of water during the day, increasing any form of exercise that he can to increase the cardiovascular output. Now, with heart failure, he can't do a lot of heavy exercise anyway, so that an upper body bike would probably be okay depending on what his physician says. It all depends. Making these choices makes a difference. And if you need some good websites to go to, you can go to lifestyleresearch.org is a good website to get some help. Also, Mercola is a good website to check out. There's some good websites to get some good information regarding that. But at the end of the day, he's got to make the best choices for him. And you helping him by getting information is good, but he has to make the changes. And that's what I would encourage him to do. There's not a silver bullet if you're asking me for skin growth. There are some things that can help, but it's more about coming up with an overall plan that will enable and empower his body to regenerate the good new healthy cells in the middle of what he's dealing with, and to fight the body and help do anything he can to help support the pancreas, to do anything he can regarding that will be his greatest help. Let's go to Aaron. Hi, Aaron.
Hello.
How can I help, darling?
My husband, his toenails are really thick and yellow and kind of flaky, and he's tried several over-the-counter treatments, and they don't really work. His latest thing is putting bleach on them, and it's sort of helping, but I just wondered if there was something else he should be doing.
Yeah, has he done any drug by his physician, like nystatin? Has he done any type of antifungal, anti-yeast related medication? Not. So just over the counter, right?
Yeah.
Lamisil, right. That sort of thing.
Yeah, those sort of things.
Okay. Yeah, well, he's got two options, okay? Now, you can get pretty aggressive after the toenail fungus, which is what he has. It sounds like it anyway. You can get pretty aggressive. Nystatin is a really good medication. A lot of physicians will recommend, and it's a pretty short-based treatment, but it has great results to it for some people. The others, you can go more of a natural route for toenail fungus, and that involves using ionic silver, echinacea. There are some different components that will help with that as well. It's a lengthier process. I'll mention that to you in just a moment when we come out of this break.
Want to turn back the clock 15 years and have more energy? This is Dr. Asa telling you to just breathe with LiveO2. LiveO2 delivers the right amount of oxygen we need for optimal health. Go to liveO2.com. That's liveO2.com.
To find out more, connect with On Call Radio online at InShapeNetwork.com.
Lines are open, 888-283-7272. That's 888-283-7272. You can check us out on the web. Also, Facebook and Twitter, both at the same address there. We were talking in the break with Erin. She was talking about her husband's toenails, dealing with toenail fungus, really, is what's going on. And they've tried some over-the-counter medications. They haven't really worked. And we were talking about going into something deeper. A lot of physicians will recommend something like nystatin, typically, if they want to go for yeast infection, potentially. And sometimes with fungal-related infections as well. So here's the deal. You can go that route. There's a natural route you can go to. There's some pretty good research on it and some results people have seen with echinacea and ionic silver. You soak it. Remember, any type of fungal type issue in the body, you have to tackle it typically from the outside as well as the inside, from the gut. And probiotics can be helpful too. There's some good research behind that. So those are some components that you might want to look into. But the ionic silver and echinacea, they actually put it in a warm liquid and you soak the toenail in it. And there's some different ways to look at that. And a lot of health food stores will have those kind of some instructions on how to do that and whatnot. But you've got to tackle it from the inside too, and that means getting the gut flora in a healthy state. And there's a lot of ways to do that. Probiotics are really, really beneficial. Using enzymes or a betaine hydrochloride when he's eating his meals can be very helpful too. But again, wormwood and black walnut are two from an internal perspective. In more of the natural world, if you want to look at more herbal formulas and all that, that can tend to be helpful. So you might want to look into that. There's been people that have said that's really good results with both of those. Just be careful when you look at those. Look at the brands and make sure you read the labels and all that sort of thing if you're going to do your own research. Because with black walnut, wormwood, those types of anti-fungal type herbal formulas, if you will, if you look in all the standard text on dosages and all that, you have to cycle those, they say, in a lot of the books, like the PDR guide, which is the standard guide, will tell you that it's better to cycle those. Like when I say that, it's taking them 7 days on and 7 days off or 14 days on. You have to look at that. And again, the people in the health food stores will be able to guide you in that process. But if that doesn't work, if you want to go that natural route, if you're thinking about that, just keep this in mind. Again, I'm just the guy to give you information. So keep this in mind that if that doesn't work, there are medications that your primary care physician can give you that are not really, I mean, when you think about, I know everybody's worried about side effects, but they do work and they can knock things out fairly quickly, and you can kind of get back onto it. The toenail fungus can be a real challenge, and it can linger for a long time. Some people have a really, really tough time getting rid of that. So I hope that's helpful. Some of the natural things can work, and like I said, they work for some people, some they don't. All right, thanks for the call. 888-283-7272. That's 888-283-7272. The memory of teens might be affected by binge drinking. Now, I know that teenagers don't drink. I know this is something that that they don't do. Of course, it's something that they do. It's widely known, binge drinking. Kids in college, it goes hand in hand. Well, they found now that it affects the brains of teenagers. A new study shows that the long hangover can wear off, but the binge drinking impairs the working spatial memory of teenagers. Girls especially are more vulnerable to these effects, they said. The spatial working memory is the ability to perceive the space around you, remember and work with this information to perform a certain task, such as using a map or playing sports or driving a car. And so one study found that female teenage heavy drinkers had less brain activation in several brain regions than female non-drinking teens when doing the same spatial task. So the researchers, Susan F. Tappert, acting chief of psychology at the VA San Diego healthcare system, in a news release, she said the differences in brain activity were linked to worse performance on other measures of attention and working memory ability. So this study was published in Alcoholism, which was a clinic and experimental research journal. But they said that heavy alcohol use could interrupt normal brain cell growth during adolescence, particularly in the frontal brain regions, which could interfere with the teen's ability to perform in school and sports and can have a long-lasting effect even months after the teen uses. And again, teens are drinking alcohol. We know that. It's one of the biggest points in life that kids or teenagers, later teens, hopefully, start drinking in the college years. And they get the hangovers and whatnot. And learning that it does affect memory is challenging. Now, what it does affect is more so acetylcholine, which is our brain chemical, our number one brain chemical that affects memory. So, again, I mean, I don't want to get on a soapbox about drinking alcohol and that sort of thing and getting hammered or drunk with all your buddies. But, again, it does. It affects memory, and they're proving that. And there's no free lunch. Whatever you do that's harmful to the body in some aspect, there's consequences all the way, every time. So if you eat poorly over a long period of time and you get cancer in your 50s, you can't sit there and go, gee, I wonder how I got cancer. Or you can't sit there and go, I don't know how I had a heart attack at 45 when you've been eating horrible and you're 50 pounds overweight for the last 15 years. You just can't, you can't ask those questions. So if you drink all the time and then your memory starts to fade, or you smoke pot all the time and your memory starts to fade and you don't know why, and you feel like, I'm not as sharp as I was 2 years ago, well, you got to think about that. It's, again, I had a great professor tell me one time there's no free lunch, and that's true. It's not. You will pay a price. So, and this is a great example. But again, the challenge is you can't tell teenagers it's going to affect. No one cares if it affects your memory. That's the challenging part. It's only after they get into their later 20s and 30s and they start getting these kind of issues that it becomes a challenge and it becomes something that they're overly concerned about. But memory can be enhanced if you build up acetylcholine in the body. So if you've gone through this, let me give you just an up on this, is that if you have gone through times of binge drinking, you feel like your memory is decreasing, a lot of things you can do to raise acetylcholine, eggs, fish, chicken, beef, and also the hard cheeses can raise acetylcholine levels, but also there's some supplements that can be helpful. Phosphatidylcholine, very helpful. Lecithin can be helpful. Vitamin B5, also galantamine and huperzine, which is called club moss. All those can be very beneficial in your overall memory.
Hi, it's Asa. I'm giving you a copy of my best-selling book for free to help you in your health journey today. I'll pay for the book. All you do is just cover the small shipping and handling costs. Go to AsaRx.com and get your free book today.
To find out more, visit the show online, InShapeNetwork.com.
What are you struggling with? Think about different issues with your health. We talk about them on the show, all kinds of issues. But what about smelly feet? In smelly feet, they're saying in a new article, could it be a weapon against malaria? Now, if you've never been to a third world country and dealt with any type of infectious disease, such as malaria, then you haven't been to Africa, because it's one of the most challenging disease processes they have there. Matter of fact, most people get immunized for malaria when they build their defense against malaria before they go there. They'll take kind of like an immunization. It's medication that they'll take. And they'll take it for about 7 days before the trip, and, of course, then take it during the trip. And it tends to help build up an immune resistance to malaria itself. But the mosquito netting and the bug spray, which are common weapons in Africa to fight against malaria, but researchers now have identified another contender, smelly feet. So in a new project funded by the Gates Foundation, scientists will be able to use foot odor to lure disease-carrying mosquitoes to a trap where they will be poisoned, the Associated Press reported Thursday. So if successful, the project could lead to development of mosquito traps for widespread use outside the home. This agency said. Dr. Fredos Okamuno, which is the director of research at Tanzania's Health Institute, said he combines 8 chemicals to replicate the musky scent of human feet. He told the news agency his customized scent attracts 4 times as many mosquitoes as humans, and the poison eradicates nearly all the flying insects. It was actually a Dutch scientist who discovered the mosquitoes' fondness for feet, he said. Interesting. So each year, more than 220 million new cases of malaria occurred worldwide and almost 800,000 deaths. I mean, that's a big deal. So smelly feet, really? It's amazing the kind of issues that they're coming up with and the kind of information that they find. They're just interesting to me. All right, let's kick it off now and go with Jim. Jim, welcome to the show.
Thank you for taking my call.
Absolutely. What's up?
I had a question for you. Just curious to get your take on ionizers and drinking high alkaline water for your diet to help improve pH.
Okay. What is your question? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it worth it? Is it not?
Yeah. it seems to have made a big difference for my wife. She was struggling with sciatica, and, I thought it was kind of voodoo science when I heard about it. And she started drinking, 9.5 pH water. And within, I'd say, a week of starting to drink that water, she was off all prescription medication for her pain and her swelling in her leg, in her left leg.
Well, are you asking me, is it a bunch of bunk?
Yeah, basically.
Well, what do you think? She's off all the medications. What was that? I'm not being smart. I'm just saying, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I think there's something to it. I just don't understand it. I mean, it seems too simple to be true, I guess.
Okay. No, that's valid right there. All right, so here's the deal. We have a pH in our body. About 7.0 is neutral. If it gets below that, we're called acidic. And if we go above that, it's more alkaline. Now, the difference is you've got different types of water. You have spring water, which typically can have a lot of the inorganic minerals in it, which a lot of people, that's what they get most concerned about, is the inorganic minerals can build up in the body, causing issues like arthritis and mineral deposits within the body that can cause some issues, potentially leading to disease. Now, the other issue is when you go for more alkalinity in the body. Typically, when you're more alkaline, you're less susceptible to issues like cancer. But here's the other challenge too. The body has a pretty strong buffering mechanism for the 7.0 that it shoots for, and with the different buffering mechanisms that it has, it's always going to shoot to be in equilibrium, meaning it's always going to shoot to be in balance. So the body's always fighting for that anyway. Now, the whole pH concept of eating foods and all that is beneficial. You can take yourself from being acidic into being more alkaline, or more alkaline into being more acidic, and that is possible to do that just barely up above it, because if not, you're causing your body's going to be pulling no matter where you go. Your body's going to be using energy within the body, pulling from within the body to get back down to 7.0. 6.8 to 7.2, really the body's shooting for that range for the most part. 7.2 technically, in medical terms, 7.1 to 7.2 is really the better range. But from more the natural alternative perspective, 6.8 to 7.2.
Okay, so would the best thing be to continue to test your saliva or something to see where your alkalinity is at?
You want to do first urine with the paper in the morning, first urine stream in the morning. That's going to give you a true read of where the person is. And 9 times out of 10, if you do the urine first thing in the morning on that pH paper, it's going to be acidic. A lot of people are. Now, when it becomes alkaline, then you're making some good progress. But so many people eat, their diets just don't have the right kind of foods in it, regardless of the water. The water will help, and that's why it's probably helped her. But again, your foods make as much a difference as the water does. But I think it's incredible that she's made those strides. But I hope that makes sense, because there's a lot of science in what she's doing. It's not just kind of hearsay or some marketing deal that is just somebody's out to sell a big water, an ionizing water unit. It's not somebody hawking their stuff. There's a lot of good science to it. And a lot of the water we have, tap water, of course, but even a lot of the bottled water is garbage. It really is. And there's not a lot of regulation on it. So, distilled water is always a good one to go with. If you don't have one of those units, distilled water is always a good way to go, because it's free of the inorganic minerals. And, I would encourage you, if she's wanting to go that route and she's been dealing with those medications for a long period of time, in addition to the water, make sure she's eating foods that will be more on the alkaline side. And there's too many for me to mention, just if you're wondering. There's plenty in my book. There's plenty in books out there that talk about pH. There's a book called The pH Diet or something like that. That's really beneficial, so you can check into that as well. But, yeah, I would encourage her, because, the proof's in the pudding. You've already seen it work before your eyes, and I love hearing stories like that, because, she's living better because of some natural choices that she's made. She took responsibility for her health. That's powerful. So drink the water. Good stuff. 888-283-7272. That's 888-283-7272. Check us out on the web, Facebook, and Twitter. But let's go now to Candy. Hi, Candy.
Hi, how are you?
I'm living well, darling. What's up? How can I help?
I'm having problems with panic and anxiety attacks.
Oh, my goodness. Well, what's going on?
Yes. Well, I really don't know. I had these panic attacks, anxiety attacks back in 2001, and that is, went away, and just all of a sudden, it just hit me all at once again.
Well,
like I can't breathe, I'm smothering, and I feel like I'm going to pass out. And then, of course, I get nauseated, sick, like I'm going to throw up and diarrhea and stuff. So I went to a doctor. I was on vacation in Gulf Shores, and so I went to the urgent care there. They did EKG, and it come back perfect. And so he told me to follow up with my doctor, so I did. So they put me on Zoloft and Xanax.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess my question is, what triggers anxiety attacks?
Well, the mechanism in the body that triggers the anxiety is a neurotransmitter that's called GABA. And when it gets low in the brain, then it triggers anxiety. So most of the medications like Xanax or any of the benzodiazepines, what they target is to raise GABA levels up, which causes you to chill out. Problem is those drugs are very addictive, and if you use them over and over for a long period of time, it takes more of the drug to get the same result. And that can be the challenging part. I am not a big fan of the benzos at all. Not even for a moment. I mean, I'm just not a fan at all. Don't like them. Most physicians don't like them if you talk to them. And there's a lot of natural ways to help with that. But the big trigger outside of that is more of emotional stress, meaning, just stuff going on in life. Have you had some things come up recently that have been tough or difficult?
No, that's what that's what everybody keeps saying. It's depression, but I'm not depressed about anything. Everything was great. I mean, here I'm on vacation at the beach, and it just hits me. I mean, it's all at once.
Yeah.
I mean, no stress at work, home. I mean, nothing. I mean,
life is good, and you're just feeling all anxious, right?
I guess just like a while ago, took Xanax, and as soon as I take it, within 5 minutes, it just made me nauseated, sick at my stomach because I'm having problems eating. I don't have an appetite now on this one. I'm not eating. Mm-hmm. I can't eat.
How long has the not eating been going on?
The not eating's been going on ever since probably Thursday. Probably about Thursday.
And have you been throwing up at all?
And I'm not, I'm dry heaving. Now, I'm eating some, but not like I used to. Like today, I ate like a half a biscuit and then like 5 chicken nuggets and some Jell-O and some cornbread and milk.
Oh, my goodness. So, Candy, here's the deal. That would give me anxiety if I ate like that. I mean, you can't. Eating like that would make anybody sick to their stomach. So let's do this. Let me go into this commercial break. We'll come out, and we're going to talk not just about anxiety, but we're going to talk about the role of nutrition and how it affects GABA levels in the brain. And we'll see if we can't connect the dots and put 2 and 2 together and maybe paint a picture. But I'll tell you this. The diet, nothing's going to change in your health. Nothing. I know you're on vacation, and I'm not trying to dampen the vacation. I hear you. You want to eat chicken nuggets? That's you go knock it out. But I'm going to have a little bit to say when we come out of this break, so hang tight.
Want to turn back the clock 15 years and have more energy? This is Dr. Asa telling you to just breathe with LiveO2. LiveO2 delivers the right amount of oxygen we need for optimal health. Go to liveO2.com. That's liveO2.com.
Connect with On Call Radio and watch On Call TV at InShapeNetwork.com.
Let's kick it off and go with Chris. Hi, Chris.
Thanks for taking my phone call.
Absolutely, man. How can I help?
Hey, I had a question in regards to gluten. I was wondering if there's any way to know if you're intolerant to gluten other than getting a blood test done at the hospital. And if I am gluten intolerant, is it okay to take barley powder or barley supplements, the green grass?
Well, you can. I mean, the barley supplements are okay. I mean, it's super green formulas, green food, green drinks. They're all fine. I mean, it just depends on what it's made from and the different products, because there's only 4 components or 4 grains that don't have gluten in them: rice flour, hemp flour, buckwheat flour, and then also the buckwheat flour, rice flour, hemp flour, and the coconut flour. Those are the 4. And so you got to look at the green drinks, what they're made out of, and making sure that they have the right ingredients. Of course, they can say gluten-free, but I would still check and see the grains that they were taken from at whatever level and whatever capacity they're made. Okay, the barley greens are really good. And the super green formulas are really good. The kelp that they use, a lot of those are really good. So, I mean, it just depends on the brand. Okay, now here's the key. With gluten, the anti-gliadin blood test is fairly accurate. But a lot of times it's really only taken for people to show if you're dealing with something like one of the major challenges. Like I'm a big fan of this right here. I'm a big fan of doing food elimination, because if you're celiac or not is always the question people pose to me. They really do. They say, well, I'm not celiac, so I should be able to eat gluten. And it's kind of frustrating. I guess that's why I'm sitting here with you and talking about this, because gluten is, I think, from the research that I've done recently, especially in the last, I'd say couple of years, I've really noticed a big trend in a lot of the research that's headed toward a lot of the brain chemistry, the ability for gluten to go in, cross the blood-brain barrier, and change DNA. And that's in someone that's only sensitive, not in someone that is intolerant, because there's a big difference. And what we're finding with gluten is everything from ADHD, meaning that it can lead to these types of conditions. ADHD, we're seeing that it can cause some major issues such as any of the brain chemistry related issues: depression, anxiety, bipolar. You can see it with chronic inflammatory, autoimmune disease, chronic fatigue. You can see it with allergies. You can see it with environmental sensitivities, infections, Lyme's disease. You can see it a player in MS and Parkinson's. So, I mean, it is a major, major player with a lot of the health challenges that we're seeing today. And the challenges are pretty phenomenal. However, the victories that can come from just eliminating that out of your diet is unbelievable. And that's why you're seeing, even at all the grocery stores now, everything from your traditional grocery store down to, of course, the specialty ones like Green Life or Earth Fare or Trader Joe's or Whole Foods. I mean, all of those have always had the gluten-free items. But you're seeing, even in a small little town, you're seeing gluten-free pop up. And not just because there's people with celiac. Okay, you're seeing that because they're catching onto the bandwagon. It is a major issue. And you're going to see that more healthcare practitioners, more physicians are going to start pushing people being gluten-free because of what it will do to your overall health. And it will impact you by avoiding it. And there's so many alternatives now. That's what the great thing for me is. I just, in the clinical setting for so long, we've gone gluten-free completely. And have seen amazing results just from that one fact alone. And you can see really good results with it simply without a blood test to find out if you want to do that. You just eliminate the foods that have gluten in it. But here's the key. It takes 7.5 weeks for gluten to get out of the system. So you got to think about it. It comes in grains, yes, but it also is hidden in a lot of sauces. So you have to be really careful with the condiments and whatnot that you put on your foods, whether you go to a restaurant or you eat at home. But controlling that is a bear within itself, so it's a little bit challenging. You want to be careful with that. But if you want to go gluten-free, if you're looking at that, if you want to say, hey, I just want to see how I feel. I have yet, whether it was through my book that people have read or it was through the massive amount of emails that we get through the radio show and television broadcasts that we do, whatever it is, I tend to get so much response from people that said, I did this one thing. I eliminated gluten from my diet just from listening to you or from reading something you wrote. And my life was absolutely changed. Seriously. And it's not that I did anything. I'm just providing information. But when someone takes action for their own health and action for their own life, that's when everything changes. And to me, that's the exciting part. The exciting part of this is to see someone go from being tired, being fatigued, being in a place where they don't feel like they're at optimal health, and making some small changes in their life to go to the next level. To me, that's what's exciting. To see someone go from where they are to where they need to be. And that's what the show's all about. But gluten itself, the blood test is good. Sometimes it's not the best and most accurate. However, it's pretty powerful. And it's one of those aha moments that when you get it, and of course there's all kinds of books out on gluten now that I encourage you to read. Gluten for Dummies. I mean, there's all kinds of little booklets that's out. But once you get it, once you've done it, once you've gone gluten-free for 7.5 to 8 weeks, the way that you feel is unbelievable. Your energy levels go up, your mental clarity. If you have allergy-type symptoms, how they go away. Digestive issues, gone. Bloating, gas, all those sorts of things. Joint pain. It sounds crazy, but it's true, and it works. Amazing. Thanks so much for the call. Puts another hour in the charts. I'd like to thank our producer, Jay Patrick, Leslie Pardue, John Garrison, and the rest of the team. Go tell one person something you learned on this show, and together we can change the health of our friends, our families, and our communities. You're listening to the best in Healthy Talk Radio. Check us out. We'll be back with more Healthy Talk Radio.
Listen to the AsaRx audio experience on Spotify and Pandora. For all the ways to watch and listen, check out our show page at asarx.com/experience.
Hi, it's Asa. I'm giving you a copy of my best-selling book for free to help you in your health journey today. I'll pay for the book. All you do is just cover the small shipping and handling costs. Go to asarx.com and get your free book today.
This episode is over, but check episode notes for links to products and services you've heard about on this episode. Thanks for listening and subscribing. Please share the AsaRx audio experience with others and stay in touch by giving us your comment or review.